Welcome to another episode of Collector's Quest. This is episode 145. The guys and I are talking about things that make you feel good in collecting. For instance, if you're shopping on eBay, you find a game that's under market value, buy it now, that feels good. And then things that feel bad. That item gets shipped to you and there's no cartridge in the box, or the box is opened and your thing fell out. Things that made you feel bad. Mainly we tried to focus on the positive, but we did also address maybe the negative as well. We wanted to do just a lighthearted episode given what's going on in the world. We were trying to have a little bit of fun here. I don't feel politics is really a thing I like to do on the show. If you listen, you know that. I don't like to bring it up too often. I do occasionally soapbox. I can't help myself, but I try to avoid it, and I try to respect everybody's political views. I don't think it is a political view, though, to say that Black Lives Matter. It isn't. So I don't think that that is taking a political stance to say that all men and women are created equal, you know, and all the people in between. So all people, right? That is one of our fundamental tenets that we committed to, that we documented on paper and said, this is one of our most important things that we believe here. I don't think it's getting political to reaffirm what is on that document. We're not bringing it up in this episode at all, but I just wanted to get that out there. All right, everybody, that's it. Now we have some lighthearted fun. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny and Stefan. What's going on, guys?
I sold a bunch of toys.
Oh, your garage is completely empty now, or completely full. I don't remember which one.
It's getting there. It's getting empty.
Why not both?
Yeah, I sold about 35 years worth of Ninja Turtle toys, collecting Ninja Turtle toys. I finally let them all go. And not
the end of it, the remnants.
Yeah, well, it's just like anything. We talk about it a lot on this podcast. Just like any collecting category, 90% of the value is in 1% of the collection, right? And so I had sold off that 1% many years ago, and I was just sort of like sitting on the 90%, which wasn't.
90 and 1% only equal 91%.
Yeah, that's true. 99%. I was sitting on the 99%.
I would go with the Pareto rule, which is the 80-20.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I had just a large volume of that collection was still left over. After, if people know my backstory, I actually cashed out a bunch of that collection to start collecting video games. So I finally let go. I have another use for the garage in the next couple of months, which is something I'll be able to talk about later. But it feels really good. I got rid of like the giant sort of Tupperware bins that you get at Target, at least 10 or 12 worth of just like action figures and vehicles and stuff. And I sold them to a booth at Frank & Son's collectible show by the name of The Shack. So if anyone goes to Frank & Son's and buys Ninja Turtles off of The Shack booth, which is also run by Padawan Collectibles, a friend of ours, then you're buying my Ninja Turtles. So enjoy my childhood toys, friends.
Yeah, that's a really good feeling. One, getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and then two, making a bunch of space. Would you say those are really good feelings, both of them, Stefan?
Really, really good feelings. Very liberating. Yeah, I actually had places to walk in my garage. It's incredible.
You know, and that's interesting because, Tyler, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the top 10 bad feelings in game collecting.
The worst. No, that's not what we're doing. There's no order.
Talking about good feelings and bad feelings in game collecting. Just get the feels out. Just talk about our emotions. Just a bunch of dudes talking about our feelings.
So, if you've been collecting for any amount of time, I'm sure you've had these situations where something feels really good, and then you have these moments that are like terrible, and these are fairly universal, and we've identified a few that we're going to share. Just kind of a light episode. You guys everyone's dealing with plenty of other garbage right now. We don't need to be that heavy. So a lighter episode this week. And let's, wow, we're already getting into it. Should we stall?
Johnny, I was really actually curious because I think this is your topic, right? What prompted this? Was this just something off the list,
No, I was literally, I got, as you do, and so I'll just start off. So, as you are a collector, if you've ever bought anything in a cardboard box or just any game, and it suddenly comes in a bubble mailer, it is just, you just look at it and you're just like, God damn it. It's like one of the worst feelings when you know you have something that it can be damaged and you see that bubble mailer and you just know it is damaged. And it's not like a packed bubble mailer, like you can see a box in it. Like it's just like a flat piece of paper. You're just like, oh, that's supposed to be like a 3D object. There's supposed to be multiple dimensions to that, but nope. It is just a 2D plane at this point. So cool. Let me open this up and then write an email to somebody on eBay, which I don't want to do. So that's like one of the worst feelings. And then the counter to that is, what I think is the absolute best feeling. And then, which is why that feeling of seeing the bubble mailer is so disappointing, because mail time is, for me, like one of the best feelings in collecting. It's like Christmas, like every day, if you're a collector, or every couple of days or every week or whatever your cadence is, you see that little package, you're like, ooh, what is it? What could it possibly be? And everyone's very excited. You get to open it up and see your thing. And that's a really good feeling. So I was going through that emotional trauma of the best and the worst feeling all wrapping themselves into one. And I was like, we should talk about this. And we have like moments but I was like, I would like to just share like your guys' other experiences aside from just mine, and maybe like compile a little list and talk to the people about it.
Yeah, that's good. I'd love to stay on the topic of bubble mailer for a moment then. Sure. So as you were talking about it, the worst feeling being you see the bubble mailer and just know things are a hot mess inside there. But I would say that a great feeling that comes right on the heels of that sometimes, occasionally, is when you look at that bubble mailer and you're like, oh, this is going to be a fucking hot mess. And then you open it and miraculously it's fine. And,
you're like, how did you survive?
Yeah, like I don't there's no way that the Saturn game should not be completely shattered, and you open it and it's pristine.
No, I don't know. My relief in situations like that is always dampened by just my disappointment in humanity, because I always include a message when I buy something on eBay. It's like 2 sentences. It's very short and sweet. It's like, hey, just so you know, please ship this in a box, not a bubble mailer. Games will get crushed or damaged if you ship them in bubble mailers. Thanks and cheers, Tyler. And I say cheers because I think people will respond better if they think I'm British. So if even after all of that, they use that, and it's like, dude... And Johnny would leave negative feedback, but then I would just not leave feedback.
And then oftentimes you get that response from that bot. Like I actually got this verbatim the other day where he responded and went, well, you didn't pay for a box. And it's like, well, I would have gladly paid for a box if my alternative was going to be a bubble mailer in which everything was going to get crushed.
Yeah. And I want to respond just to that, and to anyone who's got that mindset. Hey, listen, you, the shipper, it is your responsibility to make sure the thing I bought arrives in the condition I paid for it. That's your job. That is your job. You don't get to blame it on the post office, even if they're the ones who damaged it. It is your job to do your best to ensure that. No one wants to go through this. I promise you, if it costs you $1 more, the amount of frustration you will save yourself when I come back to you with like an angry message. Hey, you shipped this in a bubble mailer. Now I'm filing a return. I'm leaving you negative feedback for this, especially after I sent you a message saying specifically don't do this thing. You're going to be way more annoyed than $1. I promise. Or you could just respond to my message saying, hey, I factored in a bubble mailer in the price, which is like pretty much completely erroneous and fake, because it goes by weight. The minute it's bigger than a CD case, it's not going in envelope shipping. It's going in package shipping because it won't pass through a slot, and then it's deemed a package. So that's all bullshit mostly. So you're paying the same price unless you did the actual weighing and the cardboard box was slightly more and would up here. I will pay the difference. So you could come back to me and say, I didn't factor that. It's going to be like another $2. And again, same rule applies. I would rather pay you an extra $1 or $2 or whatever than get a ruined package because it's just time I'm not getting back. Let's just avoid that. Me and you, let's work together to make a positive outcome because no one wants the f***ing annoying messages back and forth on eBay where I start out and like trying to be polite but a little passive aggressive and then I'm angry and then it's basically just actual anger and I'm telling you you're a dummy because you've said something to me and I'm telling you, hey, don't be a dummy. It is your job, the thing I'm doing right now. But being super rude to you, a person who's already angry that they are going to get a return. So let's just avoid that. I don't want to do that. None of us want this. Let's not do it. There you go. End rant.
That was a good rant. I want like the national anthem to play in the back of that. Can we hook that up, Tyler?
That is a classic Collector's Quest reference to probably 50 episodes ago. When was that?
It was a long time ago.
Honestly, probably on the same topic, knowing Johnny. I don't remember what the original one was about.
It probably was. Bubble mailers are a go-to for me to rant about because it still happens. Literally yesterday, I got a bubble mailer after I said bubble mailer, but it was actually just an envelope. After I messaged the seller and said, please don't ship this in a bubble mailer. Can you please ship it in a box? And I always include Tyler's message is probably nicer than mine, but I always say, can you please make sure this is shipped in a box? I would like it to arrive in the nice condition it is in. If there's a problem with the cost of shipping, please let me know and I'll work it out with you. I always say that in my messages. And then
I used to say that and I stopped saying that. I don't remember why, but I don't know. I think the saying cheers and pretending you're British is a good strategy. I'm almost positive I got that from another podcast, but definitely include cheers with your messages.
Yeah, I like yours better. I think people will respond better to it for some reason, but yeah, I'm just like, please don't. And then it happens. I don't think it's that people are actively ignoring it necessarily as they just don't see the message or they just like get the sold, walk out, tape it up or it's already packed and there's like, meh, it's okay, sold, put a name on it.
And it makes the least sense to me too when people are selling sealed games because it's like, you know that you're asking for a premium because it's sealed and then you're shipping it in a bubble mailer. Like I don't know. I feel like it's more excusable if it's just like some rando game or whatever that's just like a CIB copy or a loose copy or whatever. I feel like that's more excusable. Like I would assume that person like just wasn't thinking that it was a high dollar value item, but like something is high dollar value to then put it in a bubble mailer. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, Stefan, if it makes you feel any better, mine was a sealed item.
Doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel worse for you.
I mean, a sealed GBA game. Like, if you buy something from Deal Tavern, I'm pretty sure Deal Tavern ships in bubble mailers.
No, he ships it in a box.
Oh, does he? All right. Hey, really? Deal Tavern has free shipping. Good job, Deal Tavern.
I have noticed a lot lately the occurrence of, and I don't know like if this saves them money or not. I mean, I would assume it does, but like the trick of putting it in a box and then putting that box in a bubble mailer.
Yeah,
I've had that happen a lot.
Okay, yes, I get that all the time. Why do you need the bubble mailer over the box? Sure, it's fine, but a lot of times they're using priority boxes.
It's because they're using the priority box. Yeah, it's because you can't use that box.
Illegally use that priority box, please, everybody.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe that's not right, but do it anyways because I'd rather my shit come in a box. The part I hate, though, is when people just wrap something in cardboard. Like, I'll say, can you ship it in a box? And then they'll, like, cut up a piece of cardboard and, like, wrap it around it.
Or not even, they'll just put the two cardboard ends on the sides of the bubble mailer. It's like, oh, you've created a hydraulic press for this game. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I want people to understand how shipping actually works. So your stuff all gets, like... Imagine that you're playing like Jenga with packages and now your bubble mailer, because it's going package rate, is sitting at the bottom of this. It doesn't matter that you like fully wrap this thing in a sleeve of cardboard and then a bunch of bubble wrap. What's happening is compression damage. And on boxes that are meant to fold, because there's too much strength, right? The force is too well distributed along the folds of the box, so it folds where it's weakest, which is the middle, and that's why you get these like weird seam creases in the middle of boxes, like, so down the edge, you would, it like, starts to crush and then folds in the middle. So that's what happens with compression damage because of the distribution of downward force. So please don't, like, it doesn't matter if there's a shit ton of bubble mailer. That's just a layer of extra weight on a press. So like, you know, do a test, wrap something in bubble, as much bubble as you want, and then stand on it and see if it survives. Probably it won't.
Sort of to the opposite of that, when something looks fine and you've like a box, it's in pristine condition and they shipped it right and it's packed right and you have all this confidence that everything's going to be fine, and then somehow because the postal service or whoever did a shitty job handling it, your item is still a wreck in there. That is the worst because you're like, oh yay, nothing happened, and you open it and you're like, wah wah, like that dive off the cliff is hard.
It's
man.
not. That's a bad feeling.
So I know. So your Laserdisc player that you're talking about.
Yes, I'm talking about my very expensive Laserdisc player.
Was that internally damaged due to like drop damage?
Yes. So
was it because stuff was banging around inside the actual player?
Laserdisc players are very heavy anyway, and this one it was especially heavy because they, like, for aesthetic reasons, they put like hardwood on either side of this thing. So like this particular laser disc player is very, very heavy. And so despite the fact that it was packed, it was clearly dropped multiple times. Basically the brackets that hold the disc tray internally where it should be broke. And so it just sort of like sunk down. The tray sunk down into the unit. So I don't know if I can fix it. I don't want to touch it until we settle the dispute. But maybe it's fixable. I would like it to be, because it would be a pain in the ass to send it back to the guy. I would rather honestly get a percentage back and then fix it. Because this particular Laserdisc player is also kind of rare. So it would be nice if I could keep it.
Yeah, and I mean, I know he probably packaged it inside like a box in a box and bubble wrap everywhere.
It was very secure. It was just very poorly handled because of the weight.
But even with all the bubble wrap, it's still gonna have shocks internally in the machine from being dropped and all that kind of stuff. So a more game example for people who aren't buying super high end Laserdisc players, cardboard box Sega Genesis games. That crappy like red insert that you have in there, the game can still bang around in there and do damage, even if it's packed up in the nicest box. So you need to really... I'm thinking about this because I was going through my Sega Genesis games, and I found the best packed ones had bubble wrap inside that box, so the cartridge couldn't move, even if I was shaking the box.
Those ones are really gross because in there, that's just little cardboard tabs that get pressed down when the machine smashes the game into the little box. Those tabs are just down there and holding it. So it's just like thin cardboard. And if there's too much upward force or downward, left or rightward force, the cartridge then slams through that and then like goes over the manual, hits the inside of the box, starts to misshape it. It happens a lot. Or just over time, the weight of the cartridge on the one holding it upright eventually wears out and the cart falls to the bottom anyways. I had that happen.
Yeah. An example from something that I collect, signs, and I think I might have gone over this in the Shipsmith episode, but specifically collecting neon signs. First of all, don't ship neon signs. But if you're going to ship neon signs, make sure that you have them pack bubble wrap between the bulb, like the actual lettering, and the back of the sign, because a lot of that is like held with like really old brittle plastic brackets, and if one of those brackets breaks loose, then like, and a letter just starts like rattling around it breaks free and rattles around, it'll basically shatter the entire sign. I had that happen with my Funko Land sign, which was devastating and very expensive to fix. So make sure that if you're going to ship a sign or asking someone to ship a sign, that they pack bubble wrap behind the lettering as well as wrapping the sign.
Just don't ship neon signs.
Seriously, don't ship neon signs. Seriously, don't. Feeling. But bad feeling shipping neon signs. But yeah, if you're going to, please pack behind the letter. Oh, and a hot tip on the PlayStation signs, they have that little box that's separate that has the PlayStation logo. There's fucking neon in that box, so you have to open the box and pack bubble wrap behind that neon as well. So it's not just the PlayStation neon, but it's that little logo has neon in it as well. So hot tip for packing neon signs. There you go.
Thank you, Stefan. You're the expert.
Tyler, you got some good feelings. What's a good feeling?
So I was organizing my Genesis games, and I've known for the longest time that my Toe Jam and Earl doesn't have the poster in it. And you're going to have to correct me, because Johnny, you are the Sega Genesis expert here. I was literally on eBay in my office, and right behind me, I've got the stack of inserts and posters and registration cards that I bought at the last Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And so I was going through eBay. I'm like, wow, the Toe Jam and Earl poster is real cheap. You can get it for like $8 shipped. But before I clicked buy it now, I remembered my stack. I looked right behind me. The very first item on that stack was a Toe Jam and Earl poster. And
you did it.
So not only was it the great feeling of getting something I need to complete a game, but all those inserts and crap I bought, I didn't just buy those inserts just to like hoard them up and be like, I've got all the whoa inserts for Super Nintendo games. You know, actually being able to use that crap, you know, I probably spent $1 each on all that stuff. You know, it makes me feel like I did something right by hoarding that to begin with. But yeah, those Toe Jam and Earl posters are super generic and came with everything, and that's the correct poster for that game, right, Johnny?
I believe so. I think
right, Johnny?
Right, Johnny?
Well,
you're going to make me have a bad feeling.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a bad feeling here. Ooh, make sure it's got the correct numbering at the bottom. And then, no, I think it was generic and with a few. And I've never understood that.
So
with,
there's a ton of them on eBay. Like, it must have come with a ton of games.
Yeah, I think it came in a lot of the Black Label, the grid games.
Johnny, you're stressing me out. It just says 1991 copyright Sega.
I was kidding about the numbers on the bottom.
Oh my god! You know what? You know a lot about Sega
right
Genesis.
Into his trap.
All right.
If there's one thing that we've learned over our time podcasting with you, Tyler, it's how to instantly stress you out.
True. All right. So that is a good feeling. But,
yeah, I've got an example of that. Actually, sort of a good feeling related to that is Johnny. You years ago, I think it's been years ago now. You gifted me, or I paid very little money for them. I don't remember which. A bunch of really incomplete PS1 long boxes. Like either they were missing their discs or their manuals or both. And I think I've now completed.
Some of them were complete.
Oh yeah. But there were still at least like 20
but,
or something that were like
but there was
like
I think like 60 of them or something total.
Yeah, and so now as of today, I only have one of those that is not complete. Like I have gone through and completed all of those. So at the time where I was like, I don't know that I'll ever, do I want to like spend the time to do this? I have now completed everyone but Doom. Doom is the only one that is still incomplete. But yeah, I have.
Really?
I got very good use out of all of those long boxes.
Doom. Okay, I'll have to look at my copy of Doom because I know I have an extra Doom disc, but it might be a greatest hits. I'll check.
Why don't you just complete Stefan's PS1 set? Just he doesn't want to do this piecemeal crap. He just wants to have it all now.
I'm actually. I think I'm like 6 games away from PS1 long box.
No, the whole PS1 set, Stefan, and then we're doing PS2.
Legitimately
you missed
not
your chance, Stefan. Oh, I'm so mad that you didn't do PS2 when we told you to, because now it's all up like 50%.
Yeah, it's really annoying that it went up that high. I have a bad feeling, so that I will contribute to this, and I know everyone can relate. And it's right online, so it's just the opposite. So Tyler found like the thing he was missing, and that's a great feeling. But going through your stuff and then finding out a piece is missing, like finding out suddenly a game needs it, like, oh, this doesn't have the poster. I didn't know this had a poster. And you bought it thinking it was complete too. And then like you just didn't know, or like the reg card, like you thought it had it. Just going through and being like, oh, and then you have to decide whether you care. How hard is it to find that one, like struggling to find that one-off piece to make it complete if you care is a real bad feeling. But finding out that you're going to have to go through that is also not a very good feeling.
Even if it's not a piece though, like especially with us being set collectors, like a couple times it's happened to me now where I thought that I had the set and then like put it out of my mind and look, it's fine, I have all the black box games, and then I'm like going through it. And this happened with NES, like 2 years after I had said, "Yay, I completed NES." I was going through and I didn't have a copy of Rad Racer.
Yep. So that was actually next on my list, Stefan, was the and I'll go into it. So I'll go the good point on this one. No, it's fine. So the good feeling is finally completing a set, and that doesn't need to be a complete set of video games. You know, like all the PS1 games. We talked about sets and how, you know, nebulous that can actually be. But like, even if it's a subset, like, oh, I finally got all of my Castlevania games, or I finally got all of my Gradius games, whatever it is, when you think it, you're just like sliding that last one on the shelf and being like, did it. Such a good feeling when you think you're done. You're like, yes, I don't have to think about this anymore. This is off my plate. I've done it. All the boxes checked. Moving on. And then you get the opposite with Stefan's, where like 3 years later, you're like, oh, I'm missing Yoshi's Safari for Super Nintendo.
Yeah. It's never anything good or expensive. It's always like, yeah. I mean, Ride Racer is a great game, but also it was like one of my sister's childhood favorites. So it just felt extra stupid. Like, and that's how I ended up finding it. She's like, "Oh, do you have a copy of Rad Racer?" Because she was when I was touring her for the first time in the game room, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course I do." And I went, and it was like, wah wah.
It was like Tyler's list. It was like, of course I've got Ninja Gaiden Black.
Black missing off my Xbox list.
Yeah,
and I know that's like just the one game Johnny would look for too.
Yeah,
which is so funny.
So I'll say a minor good feeling on that, and also a bad feeling. So because it was Yoshi's Safari, at least I didn't have to rearrange the games very much because it was at the end of Super Nintendo. But when you are going through stuff and you get a game, if you are obsessive, compulsive, and you alphabetize as you go, a terrible feeling, especially if you don't have a lot of extra room or you didn't build in to have space to fill things in, is when you get a game in like the A, B, or C range, and then you have to shuffle everything. You have to shuffle like 12 shelves worth of games to put that one on there. You're just like, really?
That's why I don't alphabetize until the very end.
Yeah, I don't either.
I alphabetize in chunks. So like, after I amass like a certain point of games, it's not true. Like once it's like 10 games, I start to alphabetize.
Yeah, once it's within a point where, once it's in a range where I can put placeholder boxes in, like then I'll alphabetize. But if
yeah. The other thing I'll do though is like I'll be like, okay, so these 100 games are alphabetized, and now I've got 50 more. Then I'll alphabetize that 50, and then like I'll go through a thing where I consolidate that all in, so at least I'm doing big chunks at a time.
Got it.
But yeah, like, so like with the GBA thing, I have like 4 sections of boxes that are alphabetized. And this weekend, I'm going to go through and merge them all together. And then I take pictures of the boxes. So I know exactly where everything is.
I feel like I can't relate to like the last 3 things. Like maybe a little, but like opening a box and realizing I'm missing a poster, unless it's like a key thing that I know I want, like the Genesis Captain America pin. That would annoy me forever if I didn't have that. Kind of the Punisher tattoo. I'm a little annoyed I don't have that. But it's not like I bought them and realized I don't have them. Because I know in my Genesis set, I'm probably missing 300 registration cards, just like random generic EA type registration cards, and probably some rare ones too. But I knew going into it that I wasn't going to get 100% complete everything. My Xbox set, I know I don't have all the Xbox Live trials that came with every game, because that would be ridiculous to try. That would be like an entire project to try to track down the contents of every game, decide that I want to collect it. It wouldn't cost anything extra. It would just be like the mental thing of going through and knowing I have everything. So honestly, opening an incomplete game like that does not bother me.
Super Nintendo's done it. He's a better collector than you.
I doubt it. I think it's probably in progress. I think it's really hard to do that kind of thing. But hey, I don't know. Dan, do you listen to the show? Yeah, tell me if you have a list of contents of every Xbox game. Because you're going to need that when you publish the book on Xbox.
True.
Completing a set, I almost always feel like, all right, it's like, it's a great feeling, but then it's also like the addiction feeling of just like getting your next hit. It's like, oh, okay, this is over with. And now, okay, I got to alphabetize them. I'm probably missing some inserts that I do want. I know my Saturn Gun Griffin has water damage. I should probably upgrade that. I never really feel like I'm 100% done when I complete a set. I always feel like there's more to do.
I
mean,
sure
that
wish
sounds like a you problem.
I sure wish the endorphin hit lasted longer. Like, that's when I was just thinking about it when you said like, oh, that like, you know, that rush of like whatever. I wish that lasted longer. Like it doesn't like on any scale, like even like when you're kind of larger collectors like we are, like we still like hit these like crazy milestones and then like minutes later or like not very long later, we're like, okay, now what's the next thing? Like I wish I held on to that like longer.
Oh, Stefan, wait. Have you tried buying more video games?
Yes.
You want to know what the best feeling is? Clicking buy it now. Yeah, did it.
Yes. I mean, you're not wrong. That's
It
that is a
good feeling.
very hard endorphin hit right there.
Yeah. Ooh, did it. More, please. Yes,
Yep.
please. Brain likes. Give more.
Yeah.
So I hold on to that set feeling for a while. Like, and I guess maybe I do the opposite. Some, there's like a feeling that like book people, I get a lot. Maybe people were very involved in like a series of like a TV series, some long epic, something you invest a good chunk of time game, like including like games. But once you beat it and you're just like, like I lived in that world for so long and now I'm leaving it. I don't know what to do. You're like, I'm not ready to actually exit this world. I get that way on some games where I go back and sometimes I'll play like part of the new game plus or go finish quests I hadn't done or something, or just run around like at the, now that my character's at the best version of it. And I'm like, but, there is that bad feeling of like, oh, I'm going to exit this world now and I'm going to miss it. So like with Super Nintendo, because I love collecting for it, I always like leave things, I'm like, there's stuff. I'll find ways to collect more for the Super Nintendo. And
Didn't you have a stupid game for some console that you were intentionally not buying because you didn't
did
want to complete it?
For Genesis, Streets of Rage 2. I had the NFR and I didn't buy the regular copy
Which
because
is like $10.
well, it was like 30 or something. It wasn't something that was like not hard to do, very common, not too much money, but I kept it there because I knew there would become a point where I'm like, I want to buy some Genesis stuff, and that would give me an opportunity to do that, and not, fully close the book on it. And I do that with some systems, like usually not to that extreme anymore, but I'll like keep a variant that I really want, or just like have a list of some games that'll be like, if I start missing this system, then I've got these things I can go back and get.
That was like me and the NES Advantage. I eventually like got one in a lot, so like I have one now. But like it took years, like after I was done collecting NES, to buy the stupid joystick. Like I just didn't have one. I had all this other, it's like, oh, here's stadium events, but I don't have an NES Advantage.
But was that something you like wanted? Because that's like the key point for me. It's like I keep something I really want, a recognizable.
Not that I wanted it necessarily, but that. But once I realized, like once I identified it as a thing that was like ridiculous that I don't own, then I like intentionally didn't buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I cannot relate. My last games are usually rare or just really dumb. I think so I'm coming to the end of my Super Nintendo set. I think the last game is going to be the Simpsons Itchy and Scratchy game, just because never got it. It's hard to find.
Are you going to overpay drastically like I did?
Well, no, because I'm just buying a cart. But what did you? Oh, you're talking about SOS?
Yeah, SOS. I created a temporary bubble on that game.
So there was a cart of the Simpsons Itchy and Scratchy game that went for like $70 or $80 in like really nice shape, and I'm not about that life because they're all over in like 6 out of 10 condition for like $20. So it's not a game I care about. I just got one of those.
Nice. All right, what do we got?
More settling for a game to complete your set. A good feeling.
Nope, not at all. But I don't think I don't think like when you finish something that needs to be like the best version of it, because I actually like it better when it's not like too important of a game, because then you can buy something you don't care about, but it gives you a good feeling because it's completing the set and it's something you otherwise wouldn't have cared about.
I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling and a related bad feeling.
Okay.
We talked about this a little bit. Giving a good deal, which is a very upfront and basic good feeling. I would dig in a little bit deeper in that the best times that I feel or the best feelings I get from giving a good deal is when it's also a good deal for me, and largely that's when like I bought something years ago, like the Ninja Turtles I sold today. There's a lot of those that I paid at one point, when no one was collecting Ninja Turtles and nobody cared. I paid $1 or $2 for a figure that's now worth, $500, and then I can give a $300 deal on it, right? And that person gets a great deal on a figure, and I still made $300 or whatever. It's like those kinds of deals where it's like it's I'm giving a great deal and you're really happy, but I've made my money too, and that makes me real happy. Those are I think the best deals, but just generally just giving a good deal also just feels good. Like being in the position where you can give a good deal for whatever reason. That's a nice. That's a nicer feeling than I think wringing every dollar out of something that you can't.
Yeah, guys, what does giving a good deal feel like? Is it like squeezing a balloon full of sand?
What?
What do you?
The joke is I don't sell anything, so I don't know what it's like to give a good deal stuff.
No, but you do know how it is to be like when you trade and you're like, I don't care about this stuff. Here, just take it from me. Just take this. I don't want to figure it out. Or you got like 4 things I like. That's like one of the good feelings I like when you're just trading like kind of casually with someone and you're just like, I don't care about these things. I know you want these things. I'm not worried about the price. When you're not like calculating dollar for dollar whether it's fine. You're just like, this all right to you? Yeah, this is all right by me. I want this thing. You want these things. You both walk away happy, and you didn't have to think too hard, and they perceive that they got a good deal and you perceive you got a good deal. I like that feeling.
Magic the Gathering before everyone subscribed to Inquest and Scry.
Yes. Or actually, it was when people had smartphones, which was dead. But I'm actually, like, we can get into that, but I'm actually for that because, like, lots of, like, dumb kids got ripped off and stuff. When you get some sharky person being like, oh, you want this dragon? Yeah, here, take this. And you're like, oh, man, that kid doesn't know that that's a $30 card.
Yeah,
you just gave him a $2 card. That's shitty. That's not a good feeling. But I mean, like, remember what we do? Like a trade for some Xbox games, and you just sent me like a pile of like 10 Xbox games. I forget what I sent you. It's not too much stuff, like some manuals or something.
I needed some Genesis manuals, probably. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Genesis.
Oh my god, like
Genesis.
Duplicates. If I have doubles of something, especially for something like Xbox, I will just give them to you, Johnny. I do not care.
Yeah, that's
like all of my costs in my collection have already been factored in. Like I don't buy things and then have like the thing where like I'm buying this lot because I know that the thing I want is $30 and I can sell everything else. So I'll calculate how much those are worth and how much I'll get for them. If something in a lot is worth $30, I will bid $30 for the entire lot. I won't win it 95% of the time. So the 5% of the time I do win it, all that stuff goes into the trade bin and I have no attachment to it.
Yeah, and I have something like similar to that. Like when I buy a lot, if there's extras, the cost of the lot is the value of the items I need from the lot. Everything else, and when I put it in my spreadsheets and everything and in my database, that's how I calculate the cost. So if I paid $50 for a lot and there was only one game in it, I paid that I needed, that game would cost me $50. Everything else is just bonus items. They don't mean anything to me.
Wait,
they're
then
like
do you
$0.
Do you register that as 0?
No, I put the game. So like when I trade stuff, I don't come in and then deduct money from that game spent.
Got it.
I spent $50 on that game. So like when we go to Portland or we're at any of the LA shows and I sell something and then I go buy games with that money, what I do is I write 0. I spent $0 on this because I keep that trade money as like a separate pile. So I'm like, I got this for free. It was nothing.
I'm going to move to my associated bad feeling.
All right, go ahead.
Which is awful, and I hate it. And this was actually my example for this bad feeling is actually changed fundamentally changed how you and I, Johnny, trade things.
Okay.
When the worst feeling is in the world
manual?
is when you cannot come to a financial decision with a friend. Like when it's like you can't agree on a dollar value, or you do agree on a dollar value and like one of those friends doesn't feel right about it. Like that is the fucking worst feeling ever. And that's, you and I went through that one time. I think it was for a manual.
It was actually like, it was a bunch of different manuals, and like we hadn't agreed to a cost up front. So then like we had to come back to the thing where we had to agree to a value, and then it was like too long and we weren't sure and we didn't agree. It was awkward. I did not like it. And at the point, I think we both got to the point where I'm like, I don't care. Like at first I cared, and then I was like, no, I don't care. Please, let's never do this.
Right, exactly. And we said, let's never do this, and we literally never have.
Yeah,
like that, because that was the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's super awkward. I would,
especially because it was over something trivial. I mean, like, I know a couple of those manuals were like valuable or whatever, but like, it was over parts of a game. You know?
Yeah. No, it's never worth it. So, and that's like something I'll tell people: don't get too caught up in the minutia, especially if you're dealing with friends. Remember, $20 isn't worth it. It's just not. Doesn't matter if the manual is a $25 manual, which is expensive for just a manual. Who cares? Trust me, value your friendships higher.
Exactly. Looking back on that situation, I would have gladly paid someone $20 to not have had that conversation.
Right. Yeah. That's like, cause I deal with this with like, magic cards and stuff. One of my friends is, he sells magic cards. He like runs a shop and stuff. He also does other work. He's like an IT professional, but on the side, his hobby also turned into like a second job for him. And he like deals in magic cards, and like, because I am the way I am, my brain is like, okay, calculating prices, trying to find good deals. And I'm like, so I like, he lets me like beat him up on deals for magic cards, and he knows he does this. But then we'll like go to lunch and I'll be like, oh, I got your lunch, don't worry. Like I'll spring for his $40 lunch, but I'll fight with him on a $1.25 magic card. I'm like, $1.50? That's like $1.25, dude. Like I'll fight him on that quarter, but then buy his $40 lunch. But he knows that's like a thing we do. But I agree, Stefan. Business between friends, unless you develop some sort of relationship and understanding, just at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you're getting enough out of it, friendship is its own reward, and it will reap you far more benefits than whatever your perceived misvalue is. And I'm not saying go get taken advantage of all the time, but hopefully you have good friends that wouldn't do that to you, and you will both of you in friendship will be ahead in the end. That's what I like to think.
Yeah.
It's a good message, Johnny.
That is a good message. And again, it really happened, and it fundamentally changed our relationship. So for the better.
Yeah. Now we don't talk anymore.
Yeah. Well, now we just don't.
Bad.
Now we probably, some probably would say we probably swung to the left a little bit too hard, like to where like we really don't care about the dollar value of anything ever anymore.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's like, and not like being like, oh, hey, rich people, but like I'm just not. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight 20. Yeah, but I don't want. I also like most people. I don't really want to fight over $20. I don't want to fight over like when I'm in value hunting mode. I just don't ever want to do that with my friends over like transactions back and forth. Especially, it's just not worth it.
Plus, with us in particular, we do so much, quote unquote business together that it all comes out in the wash, right? That's a true statement. And this,
just a friendship. You'll both be better later. I promise. Like you can. That's the other thing. Like people don't realize is you can take a bad deal sometimes. Like for your friends, it doesn't matter. You like if you have good friends, it'll be fine. You'll get it back. Don't worry about it. They'll get it back for you. Like it might not be in games, but you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Again, with the caveat that you have good friends. If you're around shitbags, you're around shitbags. Change your life. You don't have to hold on to people who are shitty to you. So that said, Tyler, what are some other good or bad feelings?
Whoa,
throwing it right at you. Yeah, Jesus. You just thought you were going to sit there and listen.
See, when we talk about feelings, I talk a lot.
How about, I don't know if this has happened to you, finding a bootleg, not getting something in the mail and immediately realizing it's a bootleg. I'm talking about like years later, going through your
Toxic
collection.
Avenger.
Yes, Toxic Avenger. Where's it? Toxic Crusaders? It's Toxic Crusaders on the Game
Toxic
Boy.
Crusader, yeah.
It is a wonderful looking bootleg. Not only it's a loose Game Boy game that I'm talking about. I said this story on the show, but the cartridge feels real. It doesn't say like game at the top. I'm not an idiot. It looks exactly like a regular Game Boy cartridge, except the cartridge label has that Game Boy logo going down the left side. And there are a lot of Game Boy games that have that Game Boy logo going down the left side. It looks very legit. And I posted it on Nintendo Age in like a let's document all the Game Boy variants thread. And I thought I was so fucking smart. I'm like, no one posted this variant. I've never seen this before. This is probably real rare. I'm the coolest motherfucker here. And then immediately, I think it was RPG Collector is like, that looks like bootleg. You should open it. And sure enough, it's totally like a 1990s bootleg version of it. It looks good, man. It's got like the label is peeling up at the bottom, like the Game Boy cartridges often do, just a little bit. I was really disappointed because even back then, that game was like an $80 game. And I had to just buy it over again because I can't like return it to a store like 3 years later. Like, hey man, you sold me this bootleg. I don't think that works.
No, not at all. That is a bad feeling. I guess my counterpoint good feeling would be when you do, like if you've ever found like a variant, like when you, like on accident, when you find out you got like the good variant of something and you didn't realize when you bought it, you're like, oh, this is the variant version and I got it. I wasn't even trying to do that. Awesome. Like, and it's the more valuable one, or, you know, it's the first print or whatever and you bought, and you weren't trying for that. You just happened to have done it. I just actually had that. Tyler, we were talking, remember? You told me to check my Super Castlevania to see which version I had. And you're like, well, does it say made from Mexico on it? And I was like, no. You're like, you're good. I'm like, hooray.
We were talking about Majesco Super Castlevania 4, and I freaked you out about it to make sure you didn't have the bad version. And I realized I didn't know what version I had, so I checked my version, and we both had the good version. So
Yay!
that definitely worked out.
Yeah, that was a good feeling. All right. Stefan, what else you got? What good or bad feelings? You got any more?
I just actually came up with a good feeling. It kind of reminded me of like Tyler's bad feeling of realizing something legitimate was a fake. Buying things that are listed as broken or for parts, and they're fine. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, where like you buy a console that says like, oh, it's not working or whatever, and then you put in a disc in, you boot it up, and it's fine. That's happened. Or like missing a power cord, and you know, buying something as is. My famous absolutely free Dreamcast that I got at a yard sale.
Can I have that?
Yeah, I didn't have a power cord, and I go, does this work? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, can I have it?
Just the dumbest thing.
It worked, and yeah, so I got a power cord for this Dreamcast and plugged it in. It was fine. It's the Dreamcast I'm using now. So I've had that happen a couple times.
Or
like,
caught your house on fire though.
What?
What was the thing you started a fire in your house?
Oh no, that was a power supply for a GameCube.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No, that was I was trying. Yeah, it was a voltage issue. It's fine. It's fine. It was only a little fire.
Things you never. Bad feeling having to say it was just a little fire.
Yeah, lighting your house on fire. Bad feeling. But no, yeah. So you know, finding something that was listed as broken or for parts or something like that, and you buy it, and it's fine. It's great.
If I'm buying something that says it's broken, I'm buying it with the intention to fix it, or the hope that I at least have the knowledge to fix it.
But that's what's great is like, so you have the intention to fix it, and then you don't have to, or like it happens with games a lot too, where it's like, oh, this is like not working, and it turns out it's just dirty. Right, like that's a pretty common one.
Who
like,
tests video games?
Clean it for 5 seconds with a Q-tip, and it's fine. I know John Riggs has a segment on his YouTube channel where he it's like open cart surgery is what he calls it. Clever pun, but people send in broken games to try and fix, and like oftentimes they just need to be cleaned, and they're like, oh, it's not broken, it just was dirty. So stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for PS1 a while ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it just doesn't play." And I was like, "Well," but the price was so good. I was like, I mean, the manual and the back, like I can find a disc, like that isn't a problem. So I bought it in that condition because for a very low price. And I was like, all right, well, still just buying the loose disc and this will still be a good deal. And I just put it into a PlayStation 3 and it worked. I was like, well, all right,
Ta-da.
never mind. Cool.
There you go.
Hooray. Yeah. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess shout out to Game News. Speaking of John Riggs, there's a Days of Thunder, not prototype. It's an unreleased version of the game. It's a different version of the game. So Days of Thunder is a racing game where you race in first person along a pre-rendered 3D background. And the unreleased version has a different 3D effect that sometimes looks very weird. It's pretty cool for an NES. They're selling reproductions of it for $80. So
Yeah,
you can go and buy that, or I assume you could download it, but I'm not sure.
So I have a follow up to that. That was found. So two cool things about that. One, it's $80. Those repos are high dollar value, but it's to benefit the family of the now deceased developer.
I should have mentioned that. Yes.
Yes.
I was going to say, ouch, $80 is expensive.
Yes,
like,
it is a high,
charity.
but it's kind of for charity. But the other really interesting thing about that game is that it wasn't just like a ROM on a f***ing disc somewhere. It was pieces of a ROM spread between many 5 1/4 floppy disks. So the video game, the game history,
Frank
they
Cifaldi.
actually, yes, Frank Cifaldi, basically stitched together this ROM from a gajillion 5 1/4 floppy disks, and it worked. Like that just blows my mind.
And he didn't even know, he didn't know what it was when he was stitching it together, right? Or
Right,
whoever
yeah,
was
correct.
doing that. That must have been like the best feeling. Good feeling, booting up a game and realizing it's an NES game no one's ever seen before.
I've never
Yeah.
had that one. So
Yeah. Unrelatable, Tyler. Bad.
Stefan remembers.
all right, what else we got? Good, bad feelings. I know we have a few more.
We got a good one that basically has an instant mirror for the bad one. Getting rid of your trade pile.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Can't
very good feeling to get rid of your giant trade pile. Then that is, again, a unrelatable thing that Tyler will never experience. But then the bad
Tyler
feeling,
doesn't have a trade pile. He just has extra stuff.
an extra permanent collection.
my bonus collection full of the junk.
He's like, God dang it, this one's so big I might have to complete this set too. I'm getting close.
So would anyone like to tell a story about getting rid of their trade pile before I go on to the bad feeling?
What's the bad feeling?
Adding to your f***ing trade pile.
Every time I go to any show and anybody buys any of that stuff, because it's all like lots of, like, I don't go out, I don't like, you know me, I'm not a reseller. You know, I don't go out and buy lots and go, all right, this is a hot lot and I'm going to make a ton of money. That I don't buy like that. I buy stuff, and sometimes I get extra stuff when I buy stuff because I wanted one thing in it, which leads to me having a trade pile. So when I get rid of any of it, it feels so good. Because again, remember, all that, like in my brain, all of that is a $0. So all that becomes bonus monies for me that I then get to go buy something and then it cost me $0 next to. So I love that. So anytime I go to a show or anything and someone does that, like the last couple of shows I paid for a year of Collector's Quest, like our service fees and everything. I'm like, all right, I can pay these service fees and everything. So I don't have to do that anymore. Cool. Cause I'm tired of seeing that bill. Like each time I do a show, that's like usually what I do with part of the money. So
Yeah.
thanks to anyone who bought, because that's you supported the show that way.
I don't aggressively sell generally too, and so when I do, you know, sometimes when Johnny will have a table or like we'll get gifted one or whatever, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll pull a box out of the garage, right? And if I don't sell that stuff, then it's just going back in the garage, like it's not like an inventory, so to speak. So my favorite one was when it was one of the Retro City Fests that we went to, Johnny, and we had a table with Eric, Excitebike Games, and I was like going through the day, and about like halfway through the day, I just look at Eric and I go, who was known for doing these kinds of things. So I just looked at him like, hey, you should just like buy my table out so I can not take any of this home. And he just looks at me. He's like, all right. So I ended up selling out the rest of my table to Eric so that I could then just go frolic for the rest of the day. It was wonderful.
I mean, to be fair, you guys go frolic anyways. I'm usually the person sitting at the table.
It's true. Johnny, you're like the dad, and we're like the kids who go have fun at the amusement park.
Although, to be fair, generally, you also bring the most inventory.
That's true. And I don't know how. Like, I don't really know how I accumulate all this extra stuff. But that'll go to a related bad feeling before you get to yours. Buying something and realizing you already have it and just being stuck with it. And you're just like, why? Why? Just buying a duplicate anything. Just, ugh.
You get to upgrade.
No,
I don't feel too bad about that.
See,
I usually, if I get excited when I see two of the same thing, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get to make the best one out of these two things.
No, like I was telling you, like it's a lot of Castlevania talk right now. But with Stefan, when we were doing the Genesis stuff, I remember I was like, okay, we're just doing one-ofs or whatever. So I put the wrong copy of Castlevania aside for you because I had like 3 copies of it. I put the flip top box, like opens at the top, not one of the slide out boxes.
Yep.
I put that one aside. I meant to take the slide box, but I wound up taking the flip top box and giving you the slide box, and then wound up with 2 of the flip top boxes. I was just like, I like having
to be
the
clear,
variant.
because you're not specifying, you were talking about a Sega Genesis game, Castlevania Bloodlines.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The cardboard box variant.
Yes, the cardboard box variant. There's 2 variants of it. There's 2 versions of the cardboard box. So there's one with the slide out tray, and then one that where you just like open the top and there's a spot for the cart to drop in. So that was like, just again, anytime you get any kind of duplicate and you didn't mean to, and you're just like if I'm buying a lot, whatever, I know what I'm signing up for. But when you get something and you did not intend to get a duplicate, and you're just like, this is so dumb. Why did I do this? And I've done it even with all of my lists. I've bought something I already own multiple times.
Oh, here's a related bad feeling, Johnny. If you don't, do you have a related bad feeling?
Nah, that was my bad feeling.
Oh, nice. When you thought you had a duplicate and you sell it and you didn't, that is the worst. I sold I sold off a bunch of GameCube dupes, and I thought I had a copy of Ikaruga. This is very recent. I thought I had an extra copy of Ikaruga. I did not. The one that happened to find its way into my trade pile on accident was my only copy. And so then I sold it, and then suddenly I did not have the GameCube set anymore, and that was a really shitty feeling, especially since like when I originally bought Ikaruga, it was not nearly as expensive as it is now. So I had to take a bath on that and then rebuy it after buying that lot. Because by the time it was actually a store owner up in Vegas who's a nice guy. But by the time that I realized my mistake and I asked him about it, he had already sold it. So that sucked.
Stefan, I can relate to this unbelievably. I need to bring it up because I can relate to this. I did this with Super Mario USA on the Famicom. So I'd never sell anything, but my friend was like, hey, you got like an extra copy of Super Mario USA? And I did, so I sent it to him, not realizing I don't have an extra copy of Super Mario USA. At the time, I was buying just tons of Famicom games, so I just, in my mind, I'm like, I must have an extra complete copy of Super Mario USA. This game is so unfathomably common. And you could see this on display in one of the Retro Gem Miner episodes, because I was supposed to have a complete copy of Super Mario USA, and it's just a cart-only copy. So that's my story.
Wow.
Ugh. Still, it's a bad feeling. It's a bad feeling.
It is a bad feeling.
It's a bad feeling. But, like, there is the good feeling of selling off dupes.
Sure.
That feels good.
Trade pile.
Yep, getting rid of that trade pile. That feels real good. Just or dupes or anything. Trading, selling, just minimizing that pile feels good. Just in general, sometimes it feels good just to get rid of a bunch of stuff. So, and it's not just I don't want people to think, well, yeah, making money feels good. That's not just that. Just like,
it's getting rid of stuff feels good.
Yeah, the money is like a bonus to the getting rid of stuff for me as well, Tyler. You're like, clear off the space. So another good feeling is when you finally, when you've had a pile of games lying around, and you finally get you find a spot or figure out how they're going to go, and you finally get them put away. That is, I think we can all relate to that, like that final moment where that pile that has just been a mess is no longer a mess. It has a home. It goes away. You're like,
no,
finally.
There's always another pile for me. Everything is such a mess.
Well, I mean, mister, I stacked on my stairs.
See, I just cleared off my stairs.
That was
one of my weekend projects this weekend. My stairs are currently clear, but my dining room
now.
table is stacked to the ceiling with stuff I haven't put away for literally months now.
Yeah,
So-
and I think it is, Johnny, I think it especially feels really good because this has happened a few times. Actually, I've called you about a few things for a solution and then had that moment of aha. That aha moment where you're like trying to figure out where something's going to go in the game room, and then and it's just been like driving you crazy, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I could do this thing, and then it works and everything looks great. And that aha where like afterwards, after you'd been agonizing over like, I don't know where the hell I'm going to put this thing, figuring that out is amazing.
Yeah, feels great. Or just like building a shelf, building your shelf and like just finally getting that shelf up, bolted to the wall, and you're like, got the games on it. That feels really good too. Like setting up your displays and I'll even go into rearranging, like when you got stuff and you just rearrange it and you think of something you think you'll like better and it works out. You're like, man, this looks really good now. I feel really good about this. Those are good feeling moments too.
Yeah, except that actually building shelves is the worst.
The f***ing worst. Absolutely.
It is absolutely the worst. I have built 12 Oscar 1080s, and I never want to see one ever again in pieces.
Don't come to me with your problems, bro. All right? You know who else has built like 12 of those? Plus all of my best ones. Just the whole...
Ooh, 14. I lied. 14.
We'll go into a worst feeling. It's like knowing that you need to buy a new shelf to upgrade. And this was much more common when I had first started collecting. I'm like, I got enough room for all these games and I'll buy some more and it'll be fine. And then be like, oh, this shelf is actually too small. So then having a shelf that is also worthless because there's no way you're seeing your trajectory and you're like, this shelf that is 3 foot tall and like 14 inches wide is never going to be enough room for any games I own. So this shelf is basically garbage. What am I ever going to do with this
just
thing?
Just put it out and then put it out at the curb and you'll have the good feeling of getting rid of something that we talked about before. Also, guys, build to the ceiling from the beginning. Stop buying this nonsense shelves that are like 3 feet high from Walmart.
Right, exactly. And that's like what I did when I first, like 2004, I was like, yeah, I got this. It holds like 500 DVDs. This should be enough forever, said the dummy.
When would I ever use this much space?
Yeah. How could I ever fill this? Derp, derp, derp. Like, I remember when I bought my first Oscar 1080, and I was like, yeah, where will I be if I fill this thing up? And then by like the time I had organized everything, it was already full, and I still had games in boxes, and I was like, ooh.
I was in this space for the longest time, Johnny, because I was mostly collecting cartridges, and fucking cartridges don't take up any room. Like NES, N64, Super Nintendo, Atari, like all that stuff, you could literally take it all and put it into a big box. But then once you collect more boxes, either you have cardboard boxes, which are thick and take up many, many times the space of a cartridge on a shelf, or you have DVD cases where they're all $2 games, so you end up buying like 1,000 of them, and now, I need room for 1,000 games. That's an entire wall.
The shelf costs more than the pile
Xbox
of games on
now.
it. Yeah.
Like the Wii U set.
Nope, there's only like 200.
Thankfully, there's not 1,000 Wii U games to buy.
But hey, that Wii U set's going to take off one day. Watch it. Watch it now. We joke now, but let's revisit this in 3 years.
Originally developed version of Zelda Breath of the Wild, guys.
Sure. All right. Game. We have any more good feelings or bad feelings? I think we got enough, but.
Well, I got a good one and a bad one, so we'll flip flop there, Tyler.
All right.
So my last good one is making an offer for something on eBay, having the seller turn you down, and then winning the auction for less. That is like the most vindicating feeling ever. That happened to me the other day. I put in an offer on a game. The guy said no, and then I won it for $50 less than the offer that I put in. And it's just like the perfect, like, I get what I want. Also, you. Like that felt real good. It's
like a nice guy at the other end. Like, no, I really think it's worth more. And Stefan's like, haha, you got it.
Yeah, gotcha. It's not the most nice.
See, I have the opposite of that one too, where it's like you put in an offer for something, they turn you down, maybe even say something snarky to your offer, and then like 2 months later they take less than you offered. You're like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? I mean, and I've already moved on and bought it, but I'm just like, what the? Come on. Yeah.
Or similarly, when you overpay for something or like pay exact market value, and then your auction then flushes more into the market, and then like the next two sell for like dramatically less than
like
whatever you paid for.
And people but people don't know how many are out there, and then suddenly you like the thing you bought triggers interest and then triggers the release, and then the thing you bought is like worth half of what you paid for it. You're like, hate that. Yeah, not great. Tyler, come on, Tej. Let's do.
All right, TJ,
let's see
give me
it.
one.
Oh
We're here.
man, I'm getting TJ'd over here. I'm gonna say, really good feeling is categorically fixing a misconception in game collecting, or at the very least documenting something in an easy to find place for the first time. And so this was this week probably. I was looking into Impossible Mission 2. And it's always been in the back of my mind that Impossible Mission 2, the SEI version, because there's 2 SEI variants and an AVE variant. And in the back of my head, I thought the SEI version was never released. SEI Impossible Mission 2, probably one of the most common sealed NES games. There's just tons of new old stock out there. And I figured out it's because there's this website called consoledatabase.org, and their kind of wiki page on SEI says Impossible Mission 2 was never released, so SEI technically never made it to market with anything. And I had read this, and just in the back of my mind, I always thought that's what it was. I thought it was basically like Cheetah Men 2, where it's like, well, I guess these got out somehow. This is maybe not the best example, because I proved this entirely wrong in about 20 minutes. So my personal copy of the color label of Impossible Mission 2 has a Blockbuster sticker on it. So, oh, hey guys, guess what? It was released. And then the person who implanted this seed in my head in the first place to go looking into this, Retro Game Enthusiast on Instagram, his black and white copy has a different rental store sticker on it. So guess what? Both of them were released to the market. I had that posted on Video Game Sage in my own thread where I'm like, was this ever really released? And I documented like, yes, categorically, this game was released. Consoledatabase.org is a site run by maniacs who are putting out wrong supposed information into the market. I hate them. I hate this. I hate everything about it.
Why are you not already making a YouTube video about this?
Because it's such a stupid thing. Like, who would even think that Impossible Mission 2 wasn't released? Like, I got it from this website probably no one's ever even heard of, and all they're doing is, like, pumping this dumb little factoid that I'm the only one who ever picked up on into the market. There's other things that I remember. So I have made 2 other YouTube videos I could think of. There was this very big misconception that 2 NES zappers can't be used at the same time. There's like some NES wiring diagram that shows that the 2 ports are wired differently. And I made a video on YouTube just showing me playing Chiller with both zappers. Just like, hey guys, this is technically possible. And the other one is people think that Night Trap was censored after the original Red Box release. But the Red Box, the Blue Box, and the 32X release are all exactly identical. And the scene they're talking about in particular, I forgot the character's name. It's the most famous scene in Night Trap. It's the girl in the bathroom, and then she gets injected in the neck, basically. That is 100% identical between all 3 versions of Night Trap. And all those videos got thumbs down by people because they were not well produced, I guess.
Or they just didn't want to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah, that was before I had like a microphone. I basically just like raw put the video out there. I'm like, hey guys, in case you didn't know, there's a misconception that this might have been censored, but it's not. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel.
All right.
That's funny.
Any other good or bad
I got
feelings?
one. Yeah, I got one more. And this one, I think Johnny and I especially have felt this a few times, but and it comes from our love of Instagram. But posting things that are like genuinely interesting or rare or important, like, oh, here's this.
At least to us in our minds.
Yeah, at least to us, or just like things that like, oh, here's this thing like not many people know about, and I'm showing it to you, and I think this is really interesting, and you should care. And nobody cares. And then you go post a picture of Mario 3 and everyone loves it. Yeah. Like that's
it's the old standby, posting a Mario 3.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the easiest way to get likes.
It drives me crazy. For the longest time, my most liked picture on Instagram was that stupid Housefire cartridge I have, right? Like, people were like super into this game that got lit on fire, and then I post something genuinely rare, and it's like 6 likes. Hate it.
Look, you knew that Housefire cart it was Castlevania, right?
Yes.
So you knew that, like, after you bought it and a bunch of people asked you about it, you knew people were going to be way more interested in that than anything else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, it does provoke a story. But it does that, like, I do have some very, like, common posts on Instagram, or, like, showing something very not interesting in my opinion, or and they've done very well. All the stuff that shouldn't matter does very well.
Yeah, well, it's not that it's just more relatable. Like,
yes,
people are like, oh,
I understand
Metroid,
why. I just
love
hate it.
Metroid. Yeah, like,
I don't care all that much because it's all relative. Like, some people get 1,000 likes in every post. When I started, I was getting 40 likes on a good post. Now I get probably 200. But I'm mostly here to interact with the same 20 people that I'm always interacting with on Instagram. That's the main reason I'm posting.
Yep.
But I do have an example here. I've been looking for a Dance Dance Revolution big box all year. I couldn't believe that these are actually hard to find, because Dance Dance Revolution was
hard to find. I still don't have one.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe that they're not even on eBay, and there was none in sold listings. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so when finally came up, I was the only person who bid on it. I probably overpaid a little for it, but I posted it, and it's my only post that totally flopped on Instagram. No one commented on it. I was so excited that I found this thing.
If it makes you feel better, Tyler, I was like, God damn, that's a good one. I still need it. I was jealous when I saw it.
And the thing is, it's not like it's not a bad feeling just in a vacuum, or because I am some elitist douchebag collector, which I am. It's that it usually equates to amount of work that I've done, right? Generally, the really obscure, rare stuff or historical stuff that I show, I've put way more of myself into being able to create this post, either actually spending more time on the actual post, or just the time that it took me to find the thing, or the money that it took to buy the thing, right? It's always more than some
Super Mario 3
card only game, right?
I'm gonna spruce this up. I'm gonna take you away from Fat Cat Stefan and make you relatable. So when you put a lot of work into an Instagram post, or you think you got something really cool and you show off, and then no one says anything, you get 0 comments and not enough likes, that moment feels bad. How about that?
Yes.
Thank you for summarizing, Johnny.
Well, we'll make it a little more condensed then. I bought this super rare piece of art that no one's ever seen before. You should care about this, I'm telling you. And then they don't like it.
Now, speaking of, so I'm just going through Instagram right now looking for my least popular posts, and one of them is it's a really rare hand-drawn Game of Thrones pinball translate. It's an unlicensed alternate art thing that's super cool, and no one gave it.
Nobody cares.
I mean, no one cares about pinball, so whatever.
Yeah. All right. Is that it, guys? We done? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Wait, didn't you have one more thing, Tyler?
If
I
you
thought
want,
Tyler had one more thing.
I could keep throwing them out there. We can make this podcast go.
No, we don't need to. It was supposed to be. We're already over an hour.
All right.
So I'm going to close us with the worst feeling of all, okay, in game collecting, for game collectors. When your giant repository of super good information and useful threads suddenly gets bought by Go Collect and then flushed down a toilet, and you can't use it anymore. And then
That's super
all
relatable.
that work.
That is the most relatable one so far.
All the people who did all that work and all those things, those threads you needed to go back and reference, suddenly aren't there. Womp, 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 womp. Bad feeling.
Johnny, are you bringing this up because we were talking about databases today?
Maybe.
Okay. It is very topical because we always bring up the people with the secret spreadsheets on the show. And I've got my own spreadsheets, and I kind of know what's out there for the things I'm interested in, but I don't actually have the hot secret spreadsheet with every video game listed with all pictures and all this crazy information that I can pull up at any time. Even for something simple, every Castlevania variant. I don't know those off the top of my head, but I know there's a Nintendo Age thread that still exists, like in the Go Collect archive and on that site, that archive Nintendo Age, that I can go reference when I need to bring up a list of Castlevania variants. But we live in an age where like resources like that are getting removed from the internet, so I don't want to have to rely on always referencing back to that. So I am currently in the process of starting my own secret super spreadsheet. That's going to be super cool, guys. Everyone's going to be so jealous.
Not if it's a secret.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, how do I share? It's a weird thing because I'm going to be putting like Brazilian and Gluck Spanish NES releases in it, and that kind of stuff is scattered around the internet if you look for it. But I want to have it all personally in my own kind of.
I got some resources for you, so I'll help you out.
All right, good.
All right.
Yeah, I need to start.
Okay. I think that's a smart thing to do. And it would be nice if it would be nice if there was a place you could go, like Nintendo Age, where you could share those resources with people and then have people add to it so you could find things out. That would be nice, right, guys?
See, no, that's why I kind of want it to be a secret spreadsheet. I don't want VGcollect.com. I don't want Harp Generation. I don't want other people f***ing my shit up and trying to contribute. I just want, these are the things I'm interested in. And whenever I see like that weird new game on Instagram, like I know, okay, I'm never going to see this again. Let me save this picture right now and put it somewhere so I don't have to remember, oh, okay, if I go back 2 years in Super Nintendo's Instagram posts, I know I can find that Hollywood Video variant, and then realize, f***ing Super Nintendo, you delete your old Instagram posts, god damn it.
He archives them, so he does. If you ask him, he probably has them archived.
I know. I can ask him. I can ask him something, and then he'll come back and be like, "Oh, and also here's this bonus thing that you never knew existed. Have fun."
Dan, that's every time with Dan. Every time with Dan, he's like, I ask him about something, and he's like, "Oh, and then also these 10 facts," and I'm like, "Dude, you just cost me money and time. Thanks, Dan. But also, that's amazing that you know all that." Yeah. He is such a good resource. He knows so many things.
He does.
Yeah, that guy is a treasure. All right. We already mentioned Red the Game Shark, right? Red the Game Shark. Anyone else we should be calling out? We've done Excite by Games. Anyone else we're supposed to be talking about today?
I name dropped the Shack, right? The shop
did.
that I sold all my turtles from? Okay.
Yep. Okay. Cool. So that's it for that part of the show.
Collectaholic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's it for the show.
Yeah, that's it for that bite. Hyrule Vice. Anyone else? Any other? Coffee with Mr. Saturn. Good resource for GBA stuff.
If we didn't mention your name right now, we don't like you.
Yeah. Anyone else I'm supposed to be talking about?
We've been talking about making lists. We're making one about you.
Yeah. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good work. We'll shout out Retro Game Trader. He's throwing a lot of like weird Xbox 360 stuff out there right now. So if you care about that system, not that I think you should, but if you do, he's got a lot of neat stuff, and he's someone to follow for that. There's a lot of people. We should actually just do a whole episode of like super useful collectors to follow to learn stuff about.
I have actually recently. I think it wasn't exactly that.
That is like going to be our episode next time, isn't it?
The communities episode? Is that part of what you wanted to do? I thought you were talking about websites. Okay.
No, I had someone actually say like, "Oh, I don't think anyone's ever done a podcast of like, hey, you should know about these people in the scene if you want to do X thing in the scene, right? Like, oh, I want to collect signs. I should know these people. I want to, I want to know about lists, and so I want to know these people, or like kind of like a compilation of like people in the industry, or not industry, people in the hobby that you should know for
as resources,
furthering your own education.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, just a list.
We should do that. We'll try to categorize them the best we can. We'll find Xbox people and Nintendo people, like on Nintendo Age and stuff. You knew, like, oh, if you need to know something about Nintendo, these are the 5 people you want to go talk to.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it would be nice to like shout those people out. One, because they're doing good work, and they're just have so much valuable information. But also,
that suggestion was from Kelsey Lewin. Hey, Kelsey.
Yeah, so we will try to do that.
Name drops.
So name drops. More name.
That's what we're doing. I thought that's what we're doing.
No, we were doing some name dropping. Sure, name drop anyone you want right now. Yeah, there's a bunch of people who deserve it that we haven't got around to, and we should.
Sure. So. Feel free to remind us if you feel like we should be. If you feel like we should be dropping your name and we're not, let us know.
I
I'm
mean,
going
there's a
through
bunch of those people.
Retro Game Trader's Instagram right now, and this guy is like, for years now, he is balls deep in Wii, Xbox 360,
N64.
PS2, all kind of the DVD stuff. Why is his name Retro Game Trader? He seems like he's like the most DVD centric guy.
But we don't know what
Not
the
doing any
cutoff
trading.
we don't know what the cutoff for retro is. Remember, we had a whole talk about how that's not even a good word.
Oh my god.
Remember, we talked about it with Eric.
We did. I remember
And
I was in the
people
minority.
were
I'm going to make a
mad,
YouTube
yeah.
video on that because I'm mad that I was disagreed with.
I still can't figure out if Eric likes Tyler based on that interaction.
Eric likes anyone he can fight with a little bit, you know, as long as it's not like personal, you know. He likes to fight about ideas. He's okay with an argument and some conflict. So he liked that.
Well, I like you, Eric.
So he doesn't listen. He never gonna
Oh,
hear
right. He
this.
doesn't listen. What
Yeah,
you,
you'll
Eric?
never hear
No,
this.
no. If he does, he'll listen to like 20
he
in a
is so
row.
far above this podcast.
Yeah. All right. Like I said, let's move it to the second part. What we're buying and if we played anything. So Tyler, did you buy anything?
I sure think I did. This wasn't that long ago. I got a Hagane cart from the Filthy Game Room.
Yay!
A pretty
You
neat
did it.
place on Facebook. Yeah. So I've been looking for like a near mint Hagane cart.
We've talked about so often
God
on this
damn,
podcast
they're
your
not
quest
out
for
there.
Hagan. Did you see what I did there? I used the name wrong, and we'll see how many people are mad.
Yeah, I talked over you. You said Hagan.
I did. It's trolling people now.
Yeah. So this one, it's got like a little bit of edgeware, but it's not egregious. The other game I remember distinctly settling for, besides Itchy and Scratchy, I settled for that. International Superstar Stalker. International
have to.
Superstar Soccer
There's
is
no
like,
nice
you
copy.
cannot find that mint. There's one on eBay that's complete in box, but it's like $1,000. These stupid games for their reasons.
Any of the Super Copas the same way. Like any of them were like pretty much made in Mexico, South America at all. Just
Yeah.
forget it. Forget it. They're just
So, Super
it's just the
Copa-
production quality.
Like Super Copa is a really hard game to find, but I haven't had as many conditions. I think my Super Copa is pretty nice.
Which
at
which
least
version?
compared to like.
Which the Playtronic?
No,
so you
I've got the good one. I've
Brasilia?
got the guy kicking the other guy in the balls version.
Okay. Oh, I mean, there's two versions. One was like the Brazilian one, and one is not.
Don't they have different box art though?
They do.
Yeah. We got the good one. Super Copa, by the way, a game that's not on Nintendo's official list of Super Nintendo games.
So does it count? Do you need that for the set?
Yeah, right.
I'm just sorry. I'm flashing back to last week.
Also, Phalanx has the wrong name in that list, and Exertainment Double Pack is also not in that list. Nintendo doesn't really know what's on their own consoles.
No, they sure don't. They work with a bunch of different partners too.
I like bringing that up because it's part of the thing that stresses me out into being like, I need to make my all lists. All information on the internet might disappear one day, and Nintendo doesn't know what they have. What's going to happen? I need to be documenting this for myself.
Well, my favorite is people always say, "Oh, well, I'm sure the companies know." Like that's like your first thing with people who aren't really experienced. You're like, no, they have no idea. They don't know what's going on here. Get out of here.
Yeah. They sure know, like Adventure Island and Super Mario World, the games that they're going to keep selling you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, they don't know about this weird stuff. It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
All right,
And
Tyler.
then I also got a big ass lot of Sega Master System games, and I want to mention that because I was probably going to buy, like, in a normal world, I would probably be buying PlayStation 1 right now because that's kind of what I want to buy, but I am taking my own advice and not buying stuff that is literally on fire in piles in the
God.
streets or
What
like
is-
bonfires of PS1 and N64 and GameCube games.
What is going on? The prices still are crazy.
No,
Crazy
the
on
curve is
PS1
flattening. It's not still exponentially going up, but yeah. Anyway, I got Golden Axe Warrior.
Woo! You got the good
yeah,
one too.
woo! I'm excited about that.
Well, we can fight about whether those stickers mean anything or not. The UPC stickers. Woo!
Yeah, that means something. I don't know.
Nah, maybe they do.
Man, like, I would not want a Golden Axe Warrior without the UPC sticker, because I want the one that was released in America. But if I took my copy of Sonic 2 or something and replaced it with an identical PAL case, technically now that case was released in Europe or something. And now that game is Theseus's Paradox not complete. But I would never care about doing something like that. So the whole thing, it breaks my brain. I try not to think about it. And the best way
that's the thing. Only the UPC sticker was released in America because those games were just shipped over here and then had a UPC sticker put on them. All the other parts, it's just a sticker on the outside of the case.
Yeah, it's and like there are variants. I'm positive I probably have an Xbox game that's supposed to have like one of those holographic NBA or NFL stickers on it, and I'm positive I've got one that's probably in the wrong case. And I just wouldn't care. I wouldn't even think about it. But
these stickers matter more.
But for
than all
Sega
other
Master
stickers.
System, because people have drilled it into my brain over the past 15 years, that's what I think about.
But that
thanks,
is like
thanks people from Digit Press or wherever I learned this to begin with.
Yeah, it's a pro tip though. If you were buying sports games, make sure you're like most of them have like the official NBA or NFL seals on them. Make sure you're like not getting a case replacement with those. So, and make sure you buy a nice copy because if it has the sticker, like especially on CD cases, because you're never going to be able to like pull that sticker off. Though I did see people saying like, yeah, just blow dry it off of that one and then use like rubber cement and glue it on. I was like,
oh my God.
Ew, God, what are we talking about here? That's stop it. Oh, that's like restoration in the worst. Don't.
It is.
Do not.
Do that. I don't think anyone would ever do that because that's super dumb.
No, that was in the high-end game thread they were talking about this. I was like, "Bleh, you guys are the worst. Get out of here."
There's some silly stuff in a lot of Facebook groups.
Facebook is
part of the
trash.
reason you should join Facebook groups is some of the funny things people say.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to take a small step back because sometimes I feel like I know this is more of a podcast for advanced collectors. Sometimes I feel like we bring a lot of things up and then never really explain what we're talking about. I just want to say that there's like 5 Sega Master System games that are identical to the versions that were released in Europe, and they just brought them over here and they stuck a barcode sticker on the back of them, and that is technically the US version of
assume
it.
that all of them got
okay.
Because
that might be assumed.
They were imported, and then at the docks they were supposed to get stickers. If I have my history right. We're not exactly sure where the sticker went on. And some of them may have been missed, like pallets could have been missed, because I have a friend who bought a Sonic 2 here in America, in Los Angeles, California, and his Sonic 2 doesn't have the sticker on it. He's had it his whole life. Doesn't have the sticker. He bought it here. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I know he's
hold on. Sonic 2 only came out in Europe.
Or not Sonic 2, Sonic 1, sorry. Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic on the Master System. He bought it there at the Toys R Us that's no longer exists because Toys R Us went away. But, it stood for most of our lives, and he still has it to this day. No sticker on it. But I've been called an idiot and a liar over this. I'm like, I'm not that into it, so, like, mine has a sticker, but whatever.
I know that's it's not like 100% proven however this went down, but there are like a lot of Golden Axe Warriors have the UPC sticker.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
For whatever reason, like Sonic is probably the rarest UPC sticker, which I realize it came out super late in the Sega Master System and Genesis was the thing. But yeah, and then the other games, what are they? Strider, Spider-Man, yep. And is that it?
I think it's only 4. I don't think there's 5.
Okay. Well, yeah. So if you buy any of those games, you want the UPC sticker.
Or don't care. But most of them care. Most of them do, and what you want to make sure is just you got the proper inserts. There are multiple copies, and the way regions work, especially back then, was really weird. So just make sure you're buying the right copies.
Yeah, don't not care about all your Sega Master System games because it's really easy to end up with like PAL manuals, which are they're like lengthwise instead of portrait like most of the American manuals. Sega Master System, you could just end up with a big pile of random stuff if you are not careful.
True. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what else you got? You play anything?
Oh, I played Rygar. I was always super intimidated of Rygar. Rygar starts you out.
Great.
So Rygar starts you out. I'm almost positive you can either go right or you can go left. And
no, you can go.
I never went left. I don't even know what's to the left. And I boot it up every time. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be one of those games. It's going to be like Battle of Olympus. I'm going to have to make a map. I'm going to have to keep notes. Like, first of all, Rygar is like 2 hours long. And second of all, the manual, it tells you everything. It has a map of the world. It's like, this item's here, this item's here, this boss is here. You should do it in this order. And it's like, and go get the grappling hook first. Also, here's a map of the first screen that tells you how to get to the overworld. It is so helpful. And
Tyler, I don't understand. How is this game ruining your life? Because you only play games that
this game's not ruining my life. I had a great time with Rygar.
I don't understand.
I've been, and the Rygar manual is hilarious. If you haven't seen it.
What did they call? Oh, I forgot what they call the monsters.
Animalistic something, right? It's some weird when they.
Well, we teased them now. Now we're gonna have to cut this and look up what the Rygar manual says.
Don't you have a picture?
You're gonna have to cut this and look up.
Yeah.
You have a picture. Anyways, Rygar is a great game.
No, stop talking. We're cutting this and we're gonna tell the people what the Rygar manual's like.
No, you're gonna do it in post.
What?
You're gonna do it in post.
Yeah,
we'll do it in post. It's fine.
They're animalized men wriggling eerily. Is the monster pages are called?
Yeah, that's the bestiary.
Is that like a mistranslation or just
yeah? It's just like a horrible.
It has to be. No one says it on purpose.
It's great. Like I think I brought this up on this podcast. I know I've posted it too. I posted it to my stories a long time ago. Rygar is a favorite. I have shared one of my Instagram stories on like IGTV was about Rygar.
Yeah, and I'm also bringing this up in such a detail because I posted this story of how I kind of discovered Rygar and it wasn't intimidating at all. And 2 people on Video Game Sage were like, really? I've never played that because every time I boot it up, I'm like, oh, I don't have time to figure this out. Rygar is not hard to figure out if you read
Can you actually go to the left?
Can you not? Maybe I'm misremembering.
I don't. Well, see, now you've got me freaking out. I'm like, can you go to the left when you start? Because I'm so conditioned to go to the right in video games. Did I just go to the right and never think about it? I'm going to say you can only go to the right because that sounds crazy to me.
Maybe I just got
because you like drop off in that desert area with the little ball things and then like the trees and my favorite area.
You can't go to the
Air Fortress.
What am I talking about? Sometimes I say things that just don't make sense. Like coronavirus fever is not a coronavirus symptom. Something I said a few weeks ago to you guys.
Not funny.
Like
at the same time, hilarious.
Like, what was I you guys just kind of ignored me or corrected me, and then an hour later, I'm like, was I drunk?
I thought maybe you had a fever. I was like, maybe he's having fever dreams right now.
It's like the only symptom.
Well, that's not true. There's like a list of like a bunch of weird, but it's symptom. Like the most common symptom is fever. And then followed by cough.
And it's the symptom that's like, okay, if you have this other thing, but you have a fever, then,
Yeah, then get worried. That was like a weird thing Tyler did. Tyler,
way to
stop
working
drinking.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm did sorry. It. Try not to bring the people down. No one wants to think about coronavirus while we're doing this.
I'm watching someone play Rygar right now. I know exactly what happened. When you die in Rygar, it puts you back at the beginning of the area.
Yeah.
And so I died on the second screen, and it put me back at the beginning of that screen, but I thought it put me back at the begining of the game.
Okay. Bunch of speculation. Awesome. So
sorry, I blacked out there for a second.
Yeah.
God damn it.
All right. It's not nice to tease Tyler. He's trying to figure it out over here. You play anything else? But Rygar is great. If you haven't, go check out Rygar. It's a hidden gem, right, Tyler?
Hidden gem. No one's ever heard of Rygar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad feeling.
I played some other NES stuff that I'm less passionate about than Rygar. It's not like Rygar is the best thing I've ever played, but
you had a
Rollerblade Racer and Batman Return of the Joker left less of an impression on me.
Yeah, for reasons. For multiple reasons. Rygar is a classic. Those aren't. Wonder why. Okay. Stefan. What one of one art piece did you buy? What crazy purchase did you make this week? He says knowingly.
There's only a couple.
There's only a couple. He says. Go on, Stefan. Tell us exactly what you bought for people.
I'm trying to keep it together. So I found a particularly special jacket that I really enjoy. It was made for, so it's a varsity jacket that has and I think I posted a picture on both Instagram and Twitter, but it's a varsity jacket that has the Donkey Kong embroidery on the back that's holding the logo. They actually that imagery is actually pretty common. Nintendo reuses it on a lot of stuff, but it has on the breast of the jacket it has the Nintendo Power logo, where normally on those jackets you would find the regular like Nintendo Racetrack logo. And so I did some digging into that, and it ended up being custom made for Gail Tilden, who at the time was the editor-in-chief for Nintendo Power Magazine. She actually founded the magazine. She was the founding editor-in-chief. And she had left to go look over to manage the North American launch of Pokemon. And when she left, they made her this jacket, but it was too big for her, so she didn't want it. And it just sat in a closet at Nintendo for years. And then eventually a staffer took it, and I linked up with that staffer a few weeks ago. So that jacket is awesome and truly is one of one. So that's cool. And then
Yep.
and then another thing. Not that I didn't technically buy them, but one good thing that happened this week is my framer has opened back up. Yay for them. And so things that I have had stuck in my at my framers in COVID-related purgatory for 3 months, I'm starting to get back now. So I had some, like there was an NES launch poster that I had framed, and I finally have that back. And there's some art pieces that I'm waiting on.
Tyler's wedding.
Yes. So things that have been there for a long time, I'm finally getting back, which is nice. So it feels like I just bought them, even though I didn't. But the larger purchase is so if you've been following me for any length of time, I've talked about Virtual World a lot. You all know my fondness of mechs that is directly inverse to Johnny's distaste of mechs.
As much as you love mechs is as much as I hate mechs.
Yes. So there was throughout the 90s a location-based entertainment facility, not dissimilar to Dave & Buster's, but much more focused. It was a cockpit-based, they called it virtual reality. It was obviously not virtual reality, but cockpit-based virtual reality simulators based off the BattleTech or MechWarrior IP. And then they also had a racing game called Red Planet. But it was basically these large cockpits that technologically, it was all custom hardware. Technologically, it's sort of, I'd say it looks a lot like Star Fox. It's that sort of like unshaded poly, not like cell shaded, but like just like unshaded polys gameplay. So anyway, that business didn't go under, but they changed drastically, and they're like those. They had cockpits actually in Dave & Buster's for a while, but this older hardware. So before Virtual World closed in 98 or 97, they created new hardware based off of really a hacked version of MechWarrior 4. And so that's the stuff that you see in Dave & Buster's. Though that hardware is still around, but this older hardware, currently there are 17 known cockpits. 7 of which are completely non-functional. They have no boards. And then, so that leaves 10, 6 of which I just agreed to purchase. So, that was, a very long setup for the news that I have purchased 6 3.0 Virtual World cockpits.
6 of the 10 that exist and function.
Yes.
Or 6 of the 17 exist.
Pretty modest purchase.
10 of which that can function. The 8 are a standard set were 8. The seller is keeping 2 for his own amusement. And I'm taking a set of 6. So 8 of them absolutely can function and are functioning. The 2 I know possibly could function, but I don't think they are currently operating. So, and then, like I said, the other 7 are absolutely cannot operate. So yeah, that's my big. I guess it's restoration or preservation, right? Saving these cockpits that are would otherwise be lost to obscurity. Yeah, okay. So I'm real happy about that. Of course, now the logistic. Each of these cockpits are 9 feet long and 3.5 feet wide. So now it's the logistics of cleaning out and renovating the garage, which, as I mentioned earlier, I sold a bunch of collectibles that was definitely for this project. So over the next, I have to take possession of them within the next 2 months. And they're in Texas. So now there's the logistical hoops of bringing like 4 tons worth of cockpits across state lines.
Just get a freight shipper.
Yeah, well, actually, there's actually the virtual world community is still very active especially because there's actually owners that have still operate and maintain the newer hardware. Like if you ever go to Gen Con, or there's a bunch of like conventions that they still operate on. So there's actually one of these businesses that owns a significant amount of the newer cockpits, owns their own truck, and so that is big enough to fit all of these cockpits. So I'm actually, and they're in Texas. So I'm talking to them because preferably I would like it if they were shipped by someone who knew what they were, who knew how to handle them, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm trying to see if it can work out to where I can have them bring me the cockpits. If not, then I can figure out another freighter. But yeah,
to
that's
Texas, rent a truck and bring them back yourself.
So you laugh, but I actually did that with the original cockpits. So this is the second time that I've actually owned virtual world cockpits. I was much younger and much more irresponsible, and unfortunately, those cockpits fell into disrepair so poorly that they don't exist anymore. But that's a different Stefan and a different time, and I was drinking heavily, and lots of reasons why those cockpits don't exist anymore. So those cockpits actually were in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I actually did exactly that. I flew out to Kalamazoo, and I, over a 2-day bender, like we didn't stop, we just drove for 2 days. I drove them back to California. That was terrifying, and I never will do that again. Driving through the Colorado mountains with a truckload of
good news.
Hardware.
As someone who's made the drive from Texas to California, it's flat and there's nothing in your way. Just drive.
And it's much shorter than Michigan.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's much shorter, but it's boring as shit. There's nothing to see. Like how anyone doesn't believe that the Earth is round. If you've driven from Texas to California, you see the curvature of the Earth. So yeah, it's real dumb. Anyways.
Yeah,
any other one of ones you want to talk about buying?
No, I don't think so. Was that not enough for you? Are you not entertained?
I'm entertained. And I just want to clarify for our listeners who are less familiar with Virtual World, like all of them, there are no single-player Virtual World cockpit games. This is a 6-player setup that Stefan will now have in his garage, probably forever.
Yeah. Well, and there's no AI. Like I can't. So the new stuff again, because it's like the code base for the new Tesla systems. That's what they're called, Tesla cockpits. They actually are built off the code base for MechWarrior 4. So there is AI options there. Like you could have one cockpit in theory. Although I think technically those cockpits require, like from a technical level, they have to talk to each other. But you could have like a cockpit or two and have a full like game of 12 AI mechs or whatever to support you. But with the 3.0 hardware, it was just 1-to-1. You had to have a person in that cockpit to make it do anything. So yeah.
All right. So after you get Piper trained up, where are you going to find 4 other people?
So this hardware actually was a lot of the virtual worlds either went under or so the cost of the Tesla cockpits, that new hardware that they built, was incredibly expensive. Each one of those cockpits it wasn't like hundreds of thousands, but each one was, I think, like $30,000 or $40,000 when they were new to make. So the company took a pretty hard bath when they made those Tesla cockpits, and so a number of the virtual worlds, because there was a huge expansion. Like it really surprises me that there's not more cultural awareness about the company, considering how many virtual worlds there were. Because worldwide there was like not quite 100, but there were double mid to high double digits of virtual world centers. And
I'm gonna guess
so,
it's because it's the kind of thing most people would do literally once, and then there was a bunch
yeah,
of
it was a
nerds
big
that did
birthday
it all
party.
the
It was a
time.
big birthday party thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. You interrupted me. I don't remember what I was doing. What did you say, Johnny? You said something to me.
We're keeping all this.
I asked who else you were going to get to play with you.
Oh, right, yeah. So, so a lot of the virtual worlds, and there were regulars, right? There's heavy patronage, and there were tournaments and awards and rankings. Like I'm a master level pilot for Red Planet, and that was something that I earned through a master trial. Like there's a big culture around, a small culture, but a dedicated culture. So, and a lot of these sites never got the new hardware. So the last time, for instance, Pasadena, which was a flagship site, Pasadena, Costa Mesa, Walnut Creek, San Diego got the new hardware. San Diego was the only one that in California, I think, that got the new hardware. But so you have a lot of people who are still around and still have a lot of nostalgic feelings for that particular hardware. So I've already sort of like kind of put it out on Facebook that I created like a private group for like the people I know that I still keep in touch with. And there is already a very, excited fan base to come and play. So there will be no shortage of pilots, and that makes me feel good.
Wow, you just called them pilots. That's gross. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you play?
That's what we call each other.
You
just like we call each other by our call signs still.
Oh, God.
It's one of those. It's one of those.
No, mech people. Just knock it off. All right. Do you want to tell
I played World of Warcraft.
Okay.
I played a lot of World of Warcraft.
All right.
I'm a mount collector in World of Warcraft. That's really all I do is farm for mounts.
Yeah, Stefan tries as hard as he can to mount things.
And I am trying to get this expansion, for whatever reason, instead of putting 1 mount achievement in, they put it in 2 mount achievements. So I was expected to then get 100 new mounts this expansion, which I actually am now pretty close to doing. So I'm trying to get 400 mounts before the next expansion, which they haven't put the pre-patch out, but like the next expansion is coming. And so I'm trying to get my 400 mount achievement before the next expansion so I can start caught up, and I am currently at 388 mounts. So, so yeah, I'm getting there.
Good job. Do you guys want an update on my RuneScape farming level?
No.
Sure.
No.
No.
No. That might be worse than mechs. All right. Man, Stefan.
It's a good tagline. RuneScape, worse than mechs.
Yeah. I bought, this is going to be real short. I bought some GBA games. Cool. Nothing super exciting, just, some GBA games. Got Avatar: The Last Airbender. Got Mario Tennis Power Tour, which I mentioned in my Instagram post and showed it, but the interesting thing about that game, not that it's even a bad game, is that they didn't call it Mario Tennis Advanced, which, like, Nintendo's favorite thing to do is use whatever system they're selling a game for and hit it with that branding. Mario 64, Super Mario World, like the list goes on. There even Mario Golf Advanced. For some reason, tennis
Super
missed
Mario
it.
Brothers U.
Yeah, like how did they miss the branding on this one?
I think the worst one for me is the Mario GBA games that are ports.
Well,
like
those are just bad namings. Mario Advance 4, which is Mario 3. You're just like,
Mario Advance 4, Super Mario World, or whatever it is. Like,
how about
come on.
How about Mario 64 DS? Ew.
Yeah, that's not great either.
Yeah.
Especially since it's not even really like that one bothers me particularly because it's not really. I mean, it is Mario 64, but it's like a different game.
Nintendo not very good at naming things. Let's just say.
Or they're geniuses at naming, just like keeping their branding. It's just this one is so shocking that they just went off brand for a second. You're just like Mario Tennis Power Tour Advanced. How did they miss this word? Like, I feel like when I looked at it, I'm like, did I get a variant? Like when I've searched for this game and I think I put in Mario Tennis Advanced and it just came up because of GBA, but I honestly didn't know that it wasn't called Mario Tennis Power Tour Advanced. That was a thing I learned. I was this many days old when I learned this.
I was today old.
Yep. So anyway, that's pretty much what, I mean, we can talk about the thing I got from you, Stefan, which I finally took a second to look at yesterday. Yesterday was the day my brain caught up to me and I was like, oh, I should take a look at this thing.
Gorgeous, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And if you guys don't know, I got Stefan's PAL Stadium events. So cart only, it's very nice. It is a beautiful looking cart. It's a stadium event and it's here. But I got it like a week ago. And it was just, I got a fever and I got sick. And I was not able to do things for
bad decisions.
For a while.
Oh, that's not where you were going.
We did.
Nope.
We did a very, very social distance friendly handoff of that game.
Yep. And that was, that was like, you leave it on this corner of my property, and then I'll go pick it up and shout thank you to you.
Yep.
So, I got, that was like the day I noticed I was getting sick. So that was crazy. It was like a long time ago. So I for those who don't know, which is like the whole world except for like 5 people, I have had a fever for 13 days and a headache.
A long time.
Yep. So they gave me the old COVID test, which is super unpleasant. Came back negative, but my doctor was like, it's probably a false negative because why else would you have a fever for this long? And at that point, it was only like 6 days or 7 days. And it's still going, so now I'm going to go do an antibody test tomorrow. Hooray! Because they're like, why do you still have a fever and a headache? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. It's why I'm calling a doctor. I'm worried. And it's not like I'm one of those people who is crazy and run out. Stefan knows, I've barely left my house. I haven't seen really anybody.
We have been very good about this.
Yeah, so the twice I've seen Stefan in the last 3 months, has been at a distance and with a mask on. So, I don't go out. I even have like my groceries delivered because I don't want to deal with that. By the way, Target delivery service sucks, but you do what you got to do. Like if you're doing their 1-day delivery, like same day delivery. But I didn't want to like have to go out and get milk. That's, sucks. They suck. They broke like every egg I've ever bought. You would think they wouldn't destroy your eggs, but what are you going to do? Anyways, so that's what I did. And what did I play? I played some Mario Tennis Power Tour to see if it was any good. It's pretty fun. And I played some Final Fantasy V. Why not? That's it. Cool. Watched a bunch of She-Ra.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need to get on that.
Yeah, you do. I think Piper would enjoy that. Oh, and I tried. We mentioned this on the podcast before, but I watched Voltron as a kid, and so I have like kid nostalgia for Voltron, even though it has mechs. But it was like fantasy enough that my brain didn't kick in that it was about mechs. I was like, this is fantasy. Because Stefan asked, well, do you like the new Voltron or any of the new Voltrons? I said, no, because I hate mechs. I won't go watch them. My nostalgia. But, I have my son and I'm like trying to, I don't want to put on anything too serious because now he's starting to like see things and like recognize things that are scary. Like we were watching Monsters Inc. and he got scared. And so I've been like trying to find like kind of tame stuff. Not that I was like, maybe like She-Ra, which is why I got to She-Ra. And I was like, oh man, we've got like through She-Ra now, over the last 3 months. So maybe I'll try Voltron. I'll try it. It came up as a recommendation. Whew.
And
I hate mechs. God, so they are so dumb. And the premise, and I don't know if Voltron was always this stupid, but okay. So there's like this witch that assists like the evil overlord of the whole galaxy now, right? Or who's destroying the whole galaxy. And she's like, "Don't worry, master. I'll make you something even stronger than Voltron." And they're like, "We have to get Voltron. It's the strongest thing in the universe." And that's why they're so intent on getting Voltron so they can complete their mission of taking over the galaxy. If this bitch can make things stronger than Voltron, why do they need Voltron?
I love that this is what's getting you angry.
It makes no sense. She's like,
it's a children's TV show.
She's like, don't worry, I can make it stronger than Voltron. I've got all these things stronger than Voltron. You're like, well, then what do you care about Voltron? Just make 5 of these strong things.
She doesn't, though.
No, she does, and they all fail because they're obviously
wrong.
not stronger than Voltron. But they don't know that. In their brain, they're like, oh, she can make something stronger than Voltron? Well, let's make it and go break Voltron so we can finally have the strongest thing. No, just go about your business. Like, just move along.
Johnny, why doesn't Rita Repulsa summon 2 monsters at the same time to defeat the Power Rangers rather than 26 of them over the course of one season?
I don't know. Also, Power Rangers is the dumbest thing. Like, if Voltron is dumb, Power Rangers is the dumbest dumb version of Voltron.
Wow.
Ugh. Yeah, that I said it to all you Power Ranger fans. Fuck you and your childhood. I just took a dump all over it.
Wow.
Power Rangers is not more phenomenal. Okay? It's terrible. Just
Power Rangers is
terrible. Blah. Yeah. Not for it. And don't come talk to me. Well, you probably haven't seen Generation 1 Power. Like, don't stop talking to me about which version of Power Rangers I probably have seen and I'm making my judgments on. All right? It's all terrible. Terrible. I tried to watch the movie, made it 15 minutes and had to stop. Couldn't do it. I can't do mechs. I can't do it.
We can blame this rant on the fever, so you're getting a free pass.
Well, that and mechs.
What about Beetleborgs?
No, they're not big nor are they bad.
The big bad Beetleborgs?
No, terrible.
What about Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad?
I mean, we've been through this. Transformers is okay because those aren't mechs. Those are sentient robots.
What about Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, which I'm not making up. That's a thing.
Yeah. All right. Like I'm okay with like the wacky premise for like other creatures, but the idea of people jumping in robots that are shaped like people to fight other people, it's just, I don't know. My brain.
Well, when you put it like that,
my brain just can't do it. I'm just like, no, this is the dumbest thing. Not like the amount of property destruction alone. Like, couldn't you guys have just had a fist fight to solve it? This is stupid. No.
Oh, this is awesome.
Anyways, there we go. There's our 2-hour mark. All right, guys, ending the show. Everyone, thank you for listening. Hope you are doing well and staying safe. Hope this takes your mind off of things and you guys feel all right. Let us know some things that give you good feelings in collecting. And thanks for everyone who responded to the big long show last week about set collecting. I know it was kind of just all over, and we were just like kind of riffing there and talking about it as I am want to do about things like set because it's always running in my brain. And
did people say they hate it?
No, I got a lot of people who
I got
liked
people
it.
saying I liked it. They liked it.
Yeah, and I don't know if just a bunch of people silently hated it, and like the few people who liked it were like, well, this was kind of a bad one. We better tell them we liked it, because I thought it was okay.
Please don't stop podcasting.
Yeah. No, I think people responded pretty positively to it. We did get asked, so I'm going to ask you guys real quick before I close this out. Does it count? Quick answers, guys. It's like 2-second answers. GBA videos.
No.
No, because I wouldn't count UMDs.
Okay.
Right.
I agreed on the same principle, right? So I said to be a game, like, and what defines a game? And I said it needs to be interactive and it has to have consequence, right? So you can't just like hit a button and make like, like a glitter spray on the screen or something. That's not a game. That's even though that's some sort of interaction, there's no consequence to that action. It doesn't do anything. But I then think about how I categorize the Sega CD stuff, and there's like a bunch of like not games there. So I didn't know how I feel about that, and I haven't plumbed the depths of.
What do you mean?
Like,
what's a not game?
Well, like obviously like modern rock and like the karaoke disc, and possibly like the dinosaurs and Compton's Encyclopedia.
So
yeah, I was actually just thinking about the encyclopedia stuff because I have there's some of that stuff on the 3DO, and so I think I wouldn't count it for the set, but that doesn't stop me from adding it to my set, right?
Right.
Just like the Woody Woodpecker VCDs, right? There's 3 of them. They are exceedingly rare on the 3DO. But I have them. I love that I have them. I hunted them, but it wouldn't have like kept me from saying like I'm done with the set if I didn't have them. Like
No, this is going to be a whole nother podcast because I would you need the Woody Woodpecker 3DO things. Those are awesome.
Yeah, like I said, 2-second answers. It's fine. We've given some context, but now you know why. When I was asked this question, I felt very good about my answer. And then I thought about Sega CD, and then like that spread to other thoughts about VCD.
GBA video.
Oh, no.
GBA Video and UMDs, those are like this whole big series. It's not like kind of a one-off, like all the Sega CD stuff and Woody Woodpecker. There's my answer.
But that doesn't matter. Like, does the count matter?
We just need
See,
we just need to start. We just need to say things and then never think about them again. That's how we should just conduct our lives.
Yeah, don't be retrospective. Never
look back.
Never turn inward.
Just you gave an answer, you felt good about it, and just move on with your life.
Never change your mind, never grow, be the same thing.
Never.
Just shout answers into the wind.
Just yell at clouds and move on.
Yeah. Okay, and the last thing I got asked, which I thought was interesting today, was, and Tyler, and we talked about this last week, black box games. Do you count the silver box games when you say black box games?
No.
Nope, I don't
not
know.
at all.
Me either.
They're like an extension, but
wait a minute. What is the argument to do that? Did they give an argument to do that?
No, they did not. They weren't saying they do. They were just wondering if I did, because they know some people, because it's like of the same ilk. Like some of them are even similar, but even
I mean, I would count them as their own subset, like 100%. Like if I was gonna that's a thing to collect, but I wouldn't count that as a black box set.
Well, see, interestingly, I consider them so much of the same thing that I put them right next to the black box games, but not alphabetical. I put them at the end.
That's just because that's just because it's aesthetically pleasing, and you do things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also because I feel like they're intrinsically tied. I'm like, these are like the same thing. Like my brain says these all belong together. My brain thinks that they do. I agree, but I never consider them part of the black box series. I consider them part of the series games, which means, and I told Tyler this, is like if it's got like the light gun series or adventure series, whatever that sports series, I consider them part of that subset. There.
Was this not on the show already?
I don't think we talked about that. So I wanted to clarify.
You guys are missing out on our private conversations.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't in our Facebook chat, what are you doing?
Then go to patreon.com
to be invited to our personal Facebook chat.
Yeah, if you want, there's a tier of Patreon that gets you into a chat with us. There's a tier in Patreon.
A lower tier will send you a transcript every week.
No, I don't. That's a lot of work. I don't want to export. And then there's a tier that gets you into our pre-show talks too. So be sure to look for our Patreon site and subscribe for as little as $1 a month. Every dollar counts, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, that's it with the show. Tell us where we can find you, Tyler. Go.
YouTube, Instagram, Video Games Sage. I'm Default Gen. That's
Default JEN.
Oh, we're bringing that back.
Oh, yeah, an oldie.
What a callback.
Tossing it in.
You called it back the other day.
Feels comfortable.
Yeah.
There was something about needing like a spare Instagram account.
Yeah,
to do something.
Someone needed to troll Johnny.
Yep. Stefan,
where can we find you? Oh my, this was supposed to be a short show, and we're at 2 hours now.
I know.
But
every time.
Good content. I have enjoyed our
all Collector's Quest content is good as long as it's not about wrestling.
Or Star Wars. So you can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Archon1981. And I'd actually like to stop for a second and talk about something I've done that you can watch on YouTube. I have this last week I released the Earthbound prototype ROM. So if you have been following my adventures, you have probably already know that I've discovered a Earthbound prototype that is not the final version of the game. It is a localization prototype, and so there are many differences. Some of which that I outline on my YouTube channel, and then you can go read about it on the Hidden Palace. Actually, I think it's hiddenpalace.org, but if you can. Just Google the Hidden Palace, and you can play the ROM. So yeah, I did that. That's a thing I did.
Yep.
So you can also find me on Twitter as Art of NP, ARTOF NP, or just search for Art of Nintendo Power and you'll find me. And that's where I am at.
Yeah, did you tell the people about the special Collector's Quest edition of Earthbound that you're doing? The special 15 cartridges, one of 15 only.
Buy them for $80 a piece, and it benefits
Stefan.
Me.
Yeah.
No, so it did take me a while, but to dump it, and there were a number of people who didn't let me forget that. Thank you to those people. You guys are jicks. Butt Jicks, Jerks and Dicks. I think that's what I was going for. But yeah, so it's out there now, and you can go play it. And I'm happy to basically light money on fire for you for no reason.
Yeah, and
to be clear, you cannot actually buy it because you seriously tricked me there for a second. I'm like, what the?
No. Well, I'm sure you can. You will
if
probably
I
be
was
able to buy it
confused
shortly.
for a second, somebody would have took it seriously.
Yeah, no,
I'm
there,
sure.
there is no Collector's Quest version. We did not shell up a bunch.
There
of
is a Patreon tier. No.
Yeah, if you
That's also not real.
No, our Patreon is
but
real.
the
It's there.
retro
Go get
gem
it.
miner is real. He's out there.
There's so many things that sound real that aren't, and then don't sound real. We're very confusing. But be sure to subscribe to our Patreon. You can find it by searching my name. That's Johnny_Iuchi, where you can find me on Instagram and occasionally, ghosting around Video Game Sage, reading your content and never ever commenting.
Do you at least throw out a like every once in a while?
Once in a while.
You can do that now.
I do that, especially if someone mentions the show. I want to make sure that people know that I read and appreciate when anyone mentions the show. So I try to hit a like when I find those. And sorry, Tyler, my dog walked in here and just going to be a bunch of messy editing.
That's all right.
Tyler's gonna be real mad at my air conditioning.
Oh yeah, mine too.
I will be mad at your air conditioning because I'm intentionally sweating here so I don't have my AC on.
Yeah,
it's right above the mic.
Yeah, mine too. Sorry, Tyler. Boom.
God damn it.
Yeah,
it's okay, Johnny.
Children.
You've got a better microphone than Steppen, who we need to get on your $2,000 upgrade path.
What are you talking about?
No, your microphone's fine.
Yours is fine. It's just not as good as Tyler's or mine. So it's fine though. Don't get weird.
I'm mostly ganging up on you because me and Johnny have the same microphone.
Yeah.
What microphone are you using now?
A Shure SM7B, right?
Yes. Yep. It's like the like everyone on YouTube.
It's like the podcast standard microphone.
It was always popular, and then in the past couple of years now, literally every person has it.
It's like if the Joe Rogan microphone that's always in front of it. Everyone's got this damn microphone.
Popularized because it's the microphone Thriller was recorded on.
Tyler, if you legitimately feel like my microphone is subpar, then I'm happy to get a new one.
No, I complain about audio. Believe me, I would be complaining more. He would
be crying so hard if he was really mad.
Yeah, I complained about the spillback from your headphones into the microphone, which I'm sure you've corrected.
Sure.
Yeah. If you didn't, motherfucker, why your headphones are too loud or your microphone's too sensitive?
No, I'm pretty sure I turned down something last time you asked me.
All right.
That was the other thing. I meant to switch because I keep a headphone in one ear. I meant to switch to the other ear because this ear that it's in is closest to the microphone. I didn't want it to spill over. Damn it. I forgot.
You keep a headphone in one ear?
Yep. Just one.
What? All right. Yeah.
Just one.
But you listen to yourself through the headphones.
I do, and I only listen through one ear. I keep the other ear out from my family.
Just for awareness. All right.
I'm like my dog who just clicks in. All right, buddy.
But he's great.
Cut all of this.
His name is Bilbo. He's amazing. That's the show. Bye.
Oh, okay.